At times, you may be given data that's split up that you actually want it to be together. For example, you might be given data in the form of names, where you have first name and last name in two separate columns. And you might want those to actually be in the same column. Or you might be given something like field number or crop type, and you want that to be included in the same column. Or what we often see is that the city, state, and zip code are often all split up. But let's say, for example, you want to be able to get them all in the same exact cell. Or let's say, for example, they split it up to where they have the month, the day, and the year all up and down, and you want that all to be in the same cell. Well, in this video, we're going to show you how to combine different cells in the form of text, or to get it to come out to where you're combining two different cells. And it's actually a pretty simple formula in order to do that. So we're going to type in full name here. So in order to do this, you say equals, and you click on that very first cell that you want to cell reference. So in this case, we want to click on cell A. Then we use an and sign. As you can see on mine, it is basically just Shift 7, and I click on that, throw in that and sign right there. And then I'll click on my last name. And now you can see that it combines those two names together. And I can actually drag that down and see all those names are combined together. Now, something else that you might want to do, and as I'm looking at this, I'm saying, man, that's kind of funny. There is no space in between any of those names. I really don't like that. Well, if you wanted to correct that, let's go ahead and go back into this cell. I'm going to come right up here and I'm going to edit this cell. And I'm going to say A2, the and symbol, open quotations, space, close quotations, and then I'm going to do another and sign. So now it has that space in there. So let me go ahead and type the full thing out so you can see that again. So we say equals this first cell, the and symbol, open quotations, space, close quotations, and symbol, and then the second cell that you want to reference. Now we can continue on with this if we wanted to, and we could say something like, put in the and symbol again, open quotations, comma, space, close quotations, put in another and symbol, click on the next name, and that'll say for example, Todd Jones, comma, Jeremy. So then you can kind of go in there and manipulate this text in any way you want. This can come in real handy if you have a large list of first and last names that you want all to be in the same cell. So now we can just drag this down, and bam, we have all of those names with a space in between them. The only issue whenever you're dealing with names like this is, let's say, for example, you go in there and you type in that first name, and a lot of people have a tendency, just like I just did, is right after they get done typing in that last letter, they put a space. It's just kind of natural habit to put that space in there, because whenever you're typing up a paper, you usually put a space after a word unless you type in a period. Well, as I do that, that automatically throws in an extra little space. And if you're detail oriented, that extra space might drive you plumb insane. So whenever you're typing in these names, you got to make sure that there is no, say, a spare space behind. So you can take that same principle over here, and let's say, for example, we want to include field number and crop type. Because as we're looking through here, we're saying, oh, two of these fields have the exact same number. We can't have two of those fields have the same number, because then we can't sort properly. So another way to kind of get around that is we can say equals that first one and symbol, and that second one, to where now we have the field number and the crop type right there together. Now if we were to go through and we could sort by corn, or we could sort by these numbers, and we can tell a distinguishment between 110 corn and 110 beets. Whereas before over here, if we were not looking at this particular column, we couldn't really tell a difference between this field and this field. So that might give it a better identifying factor, especially whenever you're using more formulas in the future. Another thing that this could come in handy on is if, say, you had two different breeds of cattle or two different breeds of livestock with better having two different types of tags. Like let's say, for example, you have Herefords and Angus, or you have two different breeds of sheep, or two different breeds of whatever, and they're all using tags, but a couple of the cattle might have the same tag number, but they're of a different breed. Well, then you could do this little process, type in just the tag number, just the animal breed, use this process in order to calculate that. Another place that I found it to be very handy on using the same formula is using on city, state, and zip code, trying to get it to where all in one cell. So we can say like the city, the and symbol, open quotations, comma, space, close quotations, the state, I forgot I got to put an and symbol in there, the state, do that same process, open quotation, comma, space, close quotation, and then that, making sure that you place in another and symbol, and then that last zip code. Then press enter. And it's throwing off an error somewhere, and that error is because I did not put this and symbol right there. What I did right there is I had a cell reference right next to a quotation mark throwing off that error. Now if I press enter, I got city, state, and zip code all right there together. Now so far we've all been doing it where all of this data is vertical. That we often see that a lot of times this data is going to be vertical, but sometimes it can be horizontal. So let's say we want to go ahead and get the full date. What is today's date? And we have the month, the day, and the year right here. So we're going to come in here, we're going to say equals this cell, and I'm going to put in a / this next, got to keep remember to put in that next cell, open and symbol, open quotations, / close quotations, another and symbol, and then that date. And I messed up somewhere again. So where I messed up at is I put a $ and not an and symbol. So make sure you're putting in the correct deal right there. And now we have that date. So that is a quick little rundown on how you can use the and symbol to combine two different cells into a single cell to give maybe a more accurate text or a more accurate number of what you're trying to come up with.